I came to CIR in 2008 with the desire or the wish, I guess, or even dream or vision of really creating a new model where there was more of an alignment between what I would call the creative side and the goals of the business side. And in a nonprofit, the goal is not profit, it's really the quality of the journalism, you know, impacting and educating the public and hopefully doing journalism that affects public policy in a positive way. Well, CIR has been in existence since 1977, and we do everything from supporting full-blown documentaries on issues like we have one right now related to that we did in collaboration with a fine journalist on trafficking of women from the former Soviet republics, to doing journalism with a project we have called California Watch, which focuses on California, which takes big statewide issues and tries to make it relevant at a community level. That is the big question. I don't think it is, honestly. It's going to be a great challenge to sustain all of the organizations that now are in existence, because the funders are major foundations right now, and sometimes what we call regional foundations or foundations in a certain community that believe in journalism, believe in their communities getting coverage not only of investigative reporting but all kinds of information. But the challenge will be to see how committed they are over time, because foundations change in their interests, the leadership of foundation changes, and right now we're really in a period of where there's been a lot of support for it in the last few years, as you mentioned, but long term I think organizations like ours with others are really working hard to try and figure out multiple ways to bring in revenue to sustain the work beyond simply philanthropic support. Well, in the States, it's not just something that just happened. Like the Knight Foundation for quite a while has supported journalism. Other foundations like the MacArthur Foundation, Ford, others, many others, Open Society Fund. And I think the belief is that journalists and journalism makes a difference in a democracy, and that nonpartisan journalism that really has its goal is to be credible and fair and not really have a political agenda or point of view is valuable. And that need has been sort of accelerated by what's happened to newsrooms all around the United States, where they've really been downsized. And it's not only investigative reporting, it's also journalism that really affects communities, because that's where a lot of the reporting has evaporated. It was undreamed of, I think, by us, except we're in a situation at the Center for Investigative Reporting where we really are trying to think about how audiences want content. A coloring book was aimed at a story we'd looked at on seismic safety in California, and really for children, because who would get information maybe from a coloring book about what to do if the classroom where they were in, or even their home, began shaking in a big earthquake. So I think the concept really is to reach audiences in many different ways, and also potentially create solution or help the audience beyond the old method of putting a story, say, in a newspaper and hope, you know, the politicians reacted, or if it was whatever you were exposing. The animation is an attempt to take really in-depth journalism and take it and break it down to a simpler story with the same credibility and components that a larger or more traditional piece would have. And again, reach a different audience. I think what we're seeing now is, with the acceleration and changes in terms of technology and the platforms that are being created, that there are new and different ways of reaching an audience, and audiences tend to choose how they want to get the story. So let's make it available to them in a format that they're comfortable with or they enjoy. Well, I'm not an expert. I did go, you know, to the conference last week in Sydney, which you know about. And I was very impressed by the journalism and the journalists and everybody I met. I think that there's obviously high-quality journalists that have world-class capabilities in storytelling here in Australia. I think that a difference with the States is the fewer owners, the ownership issue. There's a lot more range of ownership in the States, and also obviously there's a big difference in terms of nonprofit journalism, where you don't have major foundations or philanthropists yet really seeing the need for this. So that's a difference. And I do think that in some of these nonprofit centers in the States, there's really a push to try and be innovative and creative and take risks that you can't take more in a legacy newsroom, where every everything, you know, is sort of not, is much slower to move and change. You know, historically, in the States and elsewhere, investigative reporting can always be done better, but it does things and it exposes and reveals situations that really impact the processes and running of government, of corporations, the negative impacts on people's lives, human rights issues. And, you know, in a democracy, the press is central to the process of informing the public. In totalitarian states or where there is no free press, dissent from the media or dissent in any voice is crushed and oppressed and not acceptable. So you really, I think it's crucial. I mean, it's not trite when I think and believe that some of the stories, in a sense that we do and others do, believe me, others do it, as well as really engaged in a sense in protecting democracy and protecting the rights of people. Human nature is not always altruistic, and I think the role of the best journalism is one of their key pillars is to really reveal and expose and protect people who need protection.